Presentation, please. Yeah.
So I'll be presenting on tyrosine kinase inhibitors in treatment of choroidal metastasis from non-small cell lung cancer. So lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths in the world, and non-small cell lung cancer is the most prevalent of those, out of which adenocarcinoma is the most common histological subtype. Sorry. Choroidal metastasis is the most common intraocular tumor, and the reported prevalence of ocular metastasis arising from lung ranges between 9 to 23%. So we report an unusual case of unilateral choroidal metastasis arising from non-small cell lung carcinoma of adenocarcinoma subtype, which responded to oral erlotinib, which is actually an oral tyrosine kinase inhibitor. So a 78-year-old male patient, known case of systemic hypertension and ISD, presented to us with symptoms of gradually progressing diminution of vision since 3 months in the left eye and no other significant ocular or systemic symptoms. The vision in the right eye was relatively normal. In the left eye it was 20/60 distance and near was N10. The intraocular pressure and slit lamp examination was within normal limits. On dilated fundus examination, the right eye was perfectly normal. The left eye showed a well-defined yellowish colored circular subretinal lesion along the superior arcade, and the mass had feathery margins. It was around 2 disc diameter in size, and the vitreous cavity was clear with no signs of inflammation, and there were small discrete satellite lesions that were also seen between the optic disc and the macula. So on OCT, at the macula, there was neurosensory detachment and subretinal fluid was seen, and the OCT through the lesion showed a hump-like appearance in the subretinal part, and there was also loss of the RPE contour. The appearance was altered. So on fluorescent angiography, the early phase showed a central hypofluorescent lesion with surrounding hyperfluorescence, which in the late phase increased in intensity and size. So we came to the we got to 3 differential diagnoses, that is choroiditis, choroidal granuloma, and choroidal metastasis. The first 2 were ruled out by hematological investigations with no infective or autoimmune etiology. We started the patient on a 7-day course of oral prednisolone, but that showed no change in the size of the lesion or in any improvement in vision. So to rule out choroidal metastasis, we did PET-CT. So the PET scan showed a 3.5 by 3 centimeter right hilar region lesion, and also active mediastinal and tracheobronchial lymph nodes also involving the vertebra. So this is the PET scan, and we can see the active lesion, the primary. CT scan showed a similar lesion, and CT guided biopsy showed us papillary configuration, adenocarcinoma with papillary, and real-time PCR was done to see if there is any EGFR mutation, and there wasn't any, so it was classified as wild type. So we came to a final diagnosis of stage 4 papillary adenocarcinoma of the lung, wild type variety with choroidal and bone metastasis. So to treat the patient, palliative chemotherapy was suggested, but the patient refused any intravenous or radiation therapy. So we started him on oral erlotinib, 150 milligrams daily. On 6-month follow-up, the size of the lesion had reduced, and the OCT showed a dramatical resolution of the choroidal mass with resorption of SRF, and the patient's vision improved to 20 by 25. So based on the systemic status, laterality, and presence of SRF and size and number of tumors, the treatment is given. Tyrosine kinase inhibitors are actually, they act on the EGFR, the internal domain of the EGFR, and they stop the tumor growth. EGFR is responsible for proliferation, angiogenic growth factor production, and cell invasion. So using these specific drugs will cause less toxicity in these patients and a more specific response. So the take-home message would be that the only presenting complaint of a stage 4 patient can also be diminution of vision. We should thus assess each patient in detail. And the wild type of stage 4 NSCLC can also be treated with erlotinib, though the primary first-line treatment always is chemotherapy or radiation. And our last take-home message would be that science may not necessarily always have all answers. These are my references. Thank you.